Everyone, this is Miss Smriti Rekha, Assistant Professor in School of Education, KR Mangalam University. I would like to welcome all the participants to this webinar, which is being conducted by School of Education. The topic for this webinar is constructing resilience through building experience. The topic for this webinar is constructing resilience through building experience. Our invited speaker in this session is Professor Gaurama IP. She is professor and head of the Department of Education in Regional Institute of Education NCRT, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. She is a teacher and motivator, par excellence with vast experience in this field. She has completed numerous research projects and has been a consultant for various educational projects funded by state, national, and international agencies. She has presented papers, delivered keynote addresses, and spoken as an invited speaker at state, national, and international workshops, conferences, and seminars. I welcome all the participants to this webinar. You can drop your questions in question answer box visible in your screen. She has already joined with us. Hello, ma'am. Good morning.
Hello.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine. Thank you. How are you all?
We are fine too. Thank you, ma'am. We are honored by your presence. Now over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Good morning, dear participants, and thank you, KRM University, for using this link to create a common platform for all of us, teachers and teacher educators. Yes, as already you are aware of the topic, this is about giving a better life to our youngsters. And I think this is more pertinent in today's situation when suddenly certain adversities strike us. Uh, we look for options for an adjustment and a living. So how can we prepare our youngsters for a better living? We all know for a better living, we need competence and confidence. And resilience is something which every one of us have within us, which can be developed. See, by virtue of being born as a living, being born as human, definitely more opportunity, and every living organism has a tremendous capacity to adapt to the situation. And today's presentation, let us collectively reflect upon how we can nurture, support, restore this fundamental adaptive system for human development. And when we say human development, definitely this is the formative year when they are in the school. Let us look at this stage of development of youngsters and how we can do this by giving the top priority to build competence among the youngsters and how we can prepare them to weather the storms of life. As we go through the presentation, let us initially look very little about what is resilience. Then we'll see the enormity of the population and the need, why we have to be, as teachers and the school space, why we have to be concerned about developing confidence among this population. And we can go a little bit further and see how classroom and school space can be made use of in order to develop this resilience only and only through giving experience. There are certain models which are tried out. Very quickly we'll be seeing few reviews of research which give us a direction what exactly we can do, and every stage it is very clearly found that it doesn't require a huge resource or it doesn't require an enormous ability to develop resilience. It's only the opportunity, that is giving experience and providing a feedback that they are on the right track or accepting the activities which children do. This actually develops this resilience so that they can lead the life comfortably with confidence. As we go ahead, at the end, we can have questions as already. I'm getting some windows to unmute. I think I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So there is lot of experience which they have given. Anybody who's performing, we don't see the experience which they have given. Only because of that they are able to, it gives a precision. Lots and lot of exposure and experience gives a precision to a performance, and that is hidden. That is what we have to look at from in our school, that we give lot of experience so that it becomes an automatic process in them in a situation to be a problem solver or take a step immediately. Sometimes they don't even have time to think and act. With experience, this becomes automatic processing. It doesn't take time. And today is the birthday of Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore, and he is a world-renowned educationist. And I thought of taking from him the kind of experience he proposes through education, which all of us should have. It is just remembering him on his birthday. And I'm working in the Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, NCERT. Being a teacher educator, I get ample opportunity to interact with the children at different levels of schooling and also with young adults. Now let's quickly go through what is resilience. In the as it is there in the term, it's derived from a Latin verb. To say resilient means to rebound. Resilience is the ability to get back into action. See, there are adversities, there are trauma, there are difficulties. Everybody will come through challenges in life, but how do we bounce back into the action again? How do we look at the hardships and learn from hardships and get into action? So it is a remarkable capacity of an individual of adaptation. And let us remember, every step we have excellent capacity to adapt ourselves to the situation. We only have to give an opportunity for it. And resilience depends on body, that is neurobiological factors and also socio-cultural factors. And the pictures here, I'm sure you all can identify. One may be more familiar. Yes, both of them have been victims of varieties of violence, but they could bounce back, and not to a smaller extent. Rather, both of them got Nobel Prize for their activism in bringing human rights, Malala and Nadia. Yes, reports from worldwide give us an indication that there are millions of children every year being facing disasters and conflicts and several disturbances in their life. And it's not just the natural disaster or the war or the political violence. In addition, we also know that children suffer neglect from caregivers, or there is sex trafficking, and there are many forms of exploitation along with this. And not to go into the larger ones, in our day-to-day life also we see children how they become victims of jealousy with peer, how they become victims of peer pressure. These are all instances which they have to experience, so that through that experience they can develop the confidence. And close home, we have very recently experienced this situation, though funny, informed few days before that it is coming, till it came and created the disaster. None of us were prepared to face this, and this is the kind of natural disaster it created, and we can imagine the kind of human pain, struggle to come out of this situation to normalcy. And very recent is the corona. It is a pandemic. Every country in the world is suffering this situation and looking for alternatives to bounce back. This is quickly to give the picture of about whom are we talking, the enormity of the population, about who are in school. See, this is a global picture of adolescents of 10 to 19 years, though there is a slight decline in the present time and it's showing a slight decrease further. We have to note that the number is increasing. So when this is the global picture, we see when we see region wise, we can see the Asian region has the maximum, more than 50% of this population, and South Asia having the maximum, and definitely India is the largest adolescent population country with 21%. That is, every fifth person we come across could be in this age. We are more looking at adolescent because this is the stage where they become victims, and also this is the stage where there is a tremendous neural plasticity wherein they can develop their abilities with uh, with experience. By building experiences, they can, so resilience is constructed. We cannot, it just doesn't happen within one experience or one day. Rather, it is constructed through a daily process, day-to-day process. And when we talk of school age children, like from 6 to from 6 years onwards, almost every third person in the population will be in this group. So I'm just telling you the enormity, like nearly 4.5 lakh thousands of children are in school. And which other area do we have, especially in our country, when we have limited professionals to treat children, like social workers, counselors, medical professionals? If there is some adversity, how we can prepare them as teachers so that it contributes to the demographic and economic dividend. Very quickly, let us go through few reviews. There is this resilience research is an area which has come up in the recent years, and initially when we can see more concentration was given to the characteristics of resilience, what is that, and how we can understand the process of building adaptations in adverse conditions. And of late, recently, there is lot of study in the neurobiology of resilience, and both these are complementary. So the neurobiologists come to study the nerves, the brain, how the alterations are happening, and it is only the socio-cultural situation which can give them an opportunity so that the neural development can take place. And of course, studies also show this, and we also have experience to say that children who have faced adversities have shown remarkable capacity. That is, their adaptability is much more, other than those who do not have experience. Because of this, there was much interest in the resilient scientists to see what is that. They have done several case studies and come out with models on how to build resilience among others. So the stressful situation is one which gives an opportunity for everybody to come back. And there is enough evidence to say that the attributes are within the individual and the family, the socioeconomic variation, parenting. This also contributes to development of resilience, and definitely the extra familial differences, like which we get to experience from our neighborhood, school, and mentors outside the family. This is where our role becomes very, very crucial. And this is another Marston study where she has come up with few lessons, and these 5 lessons which she has given is highly motivating for teachers. So I thought we should go through this. See, lesson number one is resilience is common. That means everybody, any fragile individual can develop resilience, but that means that ability is inbuilt. Adaptability to a situation is in us. It is common. We cannot say somebody cannot develop it. We need to identify how we have to develop. And in order to develop resilience, definitely we need to see the resources. What are the resources? How the resources, the physical and the human resource interact in a given environment, which gives experience to the children. And it surely depends on its ordinary magic. It's again not very difficult to say, very technical, that teachers don't have the ability, teachers don't have the technical know-how of it. It is very, very simple day-to-day processes which build resilience in children to develop confidence in them. And another very encouraging factor for us is it can be promoted. See, neurobiologically, there may be certain limitation. Definitely, each individual, we know individual difference, and each individual will have their own threshold for everything. But the encouraging fact is that it can be promoted. And studies have, based on the research and work of people working in this area, they have given several intervention models. I'm just talking of one which is very appropriate to us as teachers. This is the social development model. Which explains, see, both pro-social and antisocial behaviors are learned in a social circumstances. It develops through building bonds. If we can develop the positive bonds, we are very sure that the pro-social personality will be developing. And this is very familiar to us. Education is cognitive development has a limitation to a age and given range, but full cognitive development, it requires social interaction, and that is where the place of school is such an important space in order to enhance the competence of an individual. This is the more knowledgeable other and the zone of proximal development, which we are familiar with. This theory is the model of social development model is based on this theory. And yes, when we look at children coming to the school, they really crave for these things from an outside world. They have been experiencing this at home, no doubt. Some may be unfortunate not to experience this, but if in school we can, without any barrier, if we can provide this environment, everybody will be benefited. Yes, care and love, value for self, recognition, appreciation for their work, and encouragement to whatever extent they are capable. See, again, I want to say we are not looking at everybody to be doing at a similar level of competence. Everybody has their own limitations and their own ability, but we can give encouragement so that the optimal potential is achieved. That is what is the role of school. Yes, a knowledgeable person can make us realize how wonderful the world is. Yes, world is a wonderful place, and we are fortunate to be living in this world. But as long as a loving person cannot make an individual realize the worth of the self by giving opportunities, encouraging, appreciating, as far as we do not know what is our worth in this beautiful world, the optimal performance, productivity will not come. So now we'll look at what kind of experience we have to be giving in schools. And again, I would stress on the point that we don't have to take additional time or extra space in order to do this. Rather, we can think of utilizing the classroom, the content transfer, that is, we call it as the pedagogical process, the activities, the learning experience which we give, it is based on the content which is there in the curriculum. See, curriculum is not just the content which is given in the syllabus and the textbook, rather curriculum is the total experience which is given to the child. This experience we can build in through the curriculum transaction in our classroom, giving responsibility to students. Any kind of responsibility to in the academic or in the creating an experience, developing certain models, arranging the classroom, changing the physical appearance of the classroom, small group experiences has to be given to them so that they feel that their work is recognized, and as teachers we are utilizing the space created by them in order to interact with them. It's a great learning experience for teachers also. When we have this, we can never imagine the kind of arrangement the students may come out with till they take responsibility and do this. And definitely there is expectation for behavior. See, this is the age which they are under tremendous stress, and they may go into antisocial or negative behaviors. This is where we have to set the behavior for them. That is why we say there is a timetable for the class, time schedule for everything. We have to, there are certain behaviors which are expected. These are all part of the school culture which go a long way in helping them develop resilience. Yes, I have to be there in the class at 9 o'clock. I know how I have to manage and get into my class at 9 o'clock. So this is, if there is flexibility, everybody will have reason to come late. But can we not? If there is 100 reasons to come late, there are 1,000 reasons to come on time. That kind of experience comes when there is set pattern of behavior expected of them. Competitions, I know we all agree when we say that schools nowadays are limiting their competitions with reference to other areas of art, music, dance, and all these things. Competitions can be in the academic areas also, like a science quiz or a math quiz, or it can be a literary competition. In addition, because there may be some children who may have better capacity to expose in several areas. So we have to, school is the space where we give them opportunity to do every kind of activity so that every child feels that they are included in the learning process. Even in the content or the pedagogical process, the way the responsibility is given, the way everybody is involved in the work, remove the how much they learn is secondary, but the process which they undergo in order to in the curriculum transaction is more important. The more than the outcome, the process actually defines the outcome. If we give the process, the outcome is guaranteed. Work experience, this is actually, you know, the using the physical energy into experience. We have almost lost these activities in our schools now. Long back it was there, and if schools has a space or can promote some of the physical activities, of course sports and games is wonderful, of gardening, anything like that which can give them a feel of work. It is not just within the school, but we can always giving some projects wherein we can expand the work within a wider community, not just in the school, meeting a person in the community, talking to them. That gives gives the child uh, learning outcome is not limited here. Though we have few objectives in the lesson to achieve, when we give experience in the wider community, the outcomes are limitless. Children explore and gain so much of knowledge that they, we can, it is astonishing to see that the way they come up with learning. Yes, this is true. One is, nowadays we are seeing children have less initiative. This is because one, they may not have the competence, or they may not have the confidence to execute it, or there may be a lethargy in the physical level to begin the work. So if all these activities are inbuilt into our pedagogical processes, it gives them a initiative and contribute to others. This is what small group learning, sharing with each other, sharing materials, sharing learning with each other. This is all a process of learning where we talk to each other about our learning, we can develop these abilities. This is I like this very much because this is from words from the judge who hears youth who say, what can I do? Where can I go? Now I feel this is more appropriate because children, some of the adolescents may be feeling locked down, what to do, how to spend time. There is so much to do. We have to open our inner window in order to see that during lockdown also there is so much of opportunity. You can study, of course visiting sick and all. See, there are so many things which you can do to develop your potential, and we have to utilize this constructive, passionate and committed basic qualities of an adolescent in order to reap the benefit for their development. This can begin right at a very young age. Yes, what exactly is the hurdle in developing this? Yes, fear rejection. But let them face fear rejection. It is very, very natural to face peer rejection. Yes, sometimes social exclusion. But how with our classroom activities and school activities, we try to bridge this gap? What kind of activities we provide? As teachers, we need to be very sensitive to identify the kind of peer rejection some children are experiencing. We can identify somebody who's different. That is where inclusive education has a great role to play, where we start expanding our perspective and we accept everybody. Each one may be different with reference to their ideology, their beliefs, their physical appearance. But and in school it's a very common phenomena that somebody who's different get rejected. But there can be certain activity wherein everybody is, but this requires a thought or a reflection in the teacher, how I will utilize my classroom activity so that the child who is rejected in the class, or what activity shall I give so that the student can develop the feeling that I'm able to achieve, I have some potential. We have to give that opportunity for a student to show or know. They themselves have to know. It's a competence begets competence. When in one area they can show the competence, that gets transferred into academics also sometimes. It's not that when they start getting recognition in some areas which they are good at, they become so comfortable and confident that they start performing well in academics also. Social exclusion, yes, and uh, poor scores, poor grade is another. There are proof to say that it is not the grade per se which gives dejection to the child, but the social exclusion or the rejection which the child faces, which makes them feel, uh, which cause disturbance to them. So it is not the mark, it is not the grade. 50 out of 100 is also good enough if that kind of an environment, if that kind of a culture is prevailing in the school. Yes, relationships, friendship issues, interpersonal relationship is another important aspect wherein they get disappointed, and we need to develop resilience in these areas. So what kind of experience? Yes, communication with the teacher, that is the significant adult in the working area is the teacher and other members of the school, adult members of the school, and also using communication as a process to learn among themselves. That is where they develop confidence. That is a non-threatening environment. They know each other very well. They can express whatever they want and they get confidence. Oh, it's okay to talk like this. This is communication as a strategy we can use in the classroom. That is pair activity, small group activity instead of teacher talking. And work ethics, this is something which is very, very essential today, wherein taking responsibility, we always wait till somebody else take the responsibility. This is where, initiative, when the initiative come, when there is confidence, when there is conviction in the potential, yes, I am capable of doing. When I don't know I am able to do this, I'll not be able to take responsibility. Yes, there are so many other things like in school we can provide opportunity to develop concern for others, empathy, problem solving. Again, more experience, more they are able to look at the situation and solve the problem. And moral values and good character, all these are inbuilt part of curriculum. Yes, communication, it's interaction in the classroom and also in the social area outside the classroom also. It develops confidence. If somebody is not able to communicate, we need to be little careful to find out what could be the reason and what can be done in order to help them develop communication, because there may be somebody who do not want to communicate for obvious reasons. That has to be taken care of. Yes, a positive, see, the positive emotional environment is something which is as important as giving experience. Giving an experience, they develop an experience, it is not just enough, it is to realize the potential along with an acceptance. Yes, how do we give that? Personal acceptance, however a student is, if this environment, in the environment of school, if they are accepted for what they are, keeping the differences away, that spreads in the classroom, school, and in the community. And give recognition, whatever work they're doing. This recognition need not be very obvious and appreciating, clapping every time. Very small improvement in a student can be given a feel of recognition. Just eye contact is enough sometimes. That is what gives them confidence. Sometimes a look of approval, very very subtle message where a look of approval also is sufficient, because we cannot be doing for everything talking, and it's not something which is very obvious. Rather, the child can perceive these interaction of the teacher or the appreciation of the teacher, and when they will feel their worth, they can deliver something, they are able to produce something. Their work, it could be homework, even doing a homework and getting appreciation, they feel that they are worth. Yes, uh, this is just to say how a, the child with the cognitive attributes, with the physical attributes, in the social network, having their own interest and motivations in a place like school, with the guidance of teachers, can get a positive development. And this is what we have already talked, the individual values, consciousness of self, and congruence and commitment. This is the, it should be in the individual, it will be there, it is a very natural attribute in an individual. And group value will be developed, collaboration with others. Through our learning experiences, we can give all these values to them, and in this can change. This is individual, the school, and at the larger community. In this interaction, utilizing the resources and the interaction will lead to a change to a positive direction. How people have overcome adversities, we have lots of examples. She's a teacher who's blind but very passionate, and who's teaching in a remote village in Odisha. Yes, some of you may be familiar with her. She is Roshan Jawad, who broke her legs just before her 10th exam, but who scored good marks in 10th and wrote medical entrance exam. And when she got the medical seat, she had to fight the apathy of the medical institute in order to get admission. She had to go to the Bombay High Court and get the admission, because 70% disability was the criteria for getting admission, wherein she had both her legs not being there. She had more than 70% disability and she didn't get. And the the apprehension of the institute was that how she will be able to climb the stairs and go to different classes, labs, and such a big institute. And the judge had to say only one thing: when she could climb the stairs of the highest judicial system, she can climb the stairs and reach the class. This is the kind of outside support which builds resilience. Now she has completed her MBBS, and in a prestigious KEM institute, she is doing her pathology, and she is one of the examples of fighting adversities. And yes, there are many people who are living as legends. He is Vermeer is biologist, to be very specific, a concologist who works with mollusks, and he is blind. He lost his eyesight at the age of 3, and he pursued his dream, and high level of finger dexterity. He studies the mollusks, and he is a renowned ecologist and conchologist who's working. There are hundreds of this kind of examples. Yes, we can move outward, which is the easiest way of developing confidence instead of going into our own, looking at our own self. The confidence is multifold when we look at the outside. So this is maybe till the time I have questions, I can just say one or two things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the new model of looking at an individual's strength. So we have moved away from the deficit model, what the student cannot do, rather the strength model. There is enormous potential in the child, which is given an opportunity to come out in a school atmosphere, which builds confidence in them. And of course, not just the opportunity, again, I am saying it is the emotional environment also, the relationship between the adult and the child, the relationship between the peer group and the child, all this contribute a lot in developing competence among the child, the resilience. Once the resilience is in place, they can bounce back by themselves at any situation.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's been really nice, and then we got an insight about like to become a resilience. We can get so much experience to become our better version, and we can do a lot of changes. When you come out of your comfort zone, we do a lot of changes, and we can definitely get.
Can't hear well.
Okay, hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So, when we have a lot of questions, and I tried to compile 2, 3 questions into one. So, the first question which I would like to ask is that uh, can we bring resilience by incorporating spiritual education in our curriculum, and how this resilience is connected with the spirituality? Will the spiritualism play important role in becoming a resident in our like any suggestions on that?
I'm not able to hear you clearly. Can you please be a
Uh,
little louder?
wait. Hello,
How
hello,
we
ma'am.
can develop resilience through?
Through spiritual education, uh, through spiritual education, or whether there is a relation. What is the relation between resilience and spirituality? Should we bring the spiritualism in our curriculum, and whether we can bring resilience among our students through spirituality? So, what is the role of spirituality?
Okay, definitely it has a root in spiritualism where it says, you know, you have enormous capacity, there is abundance of wealth within and outside us, and all these things. But I would not promote anything here that having spiritual education or not, rather through curriculum, through our activities, let us move towards a space wherein all are accepted, all are loved. And that is what is spiritualism, accepting everybody. That is what is the philosophy behind inclusive education also.
Okay. And ma'am, do you think or the use of electronic which we are using nowadays, The students are using it for their classroom teachings, and we are also using it for our conducting the classes or webinars. So do you think these ICT is coming as a mental stress and a hindrance, and in a hindrance towards overall development, students' overall development, or they are making them socially isolated in that sense? So, should we consider this lockdown the reason of being mental stress during this time? So, what are your take on this?
Yes, we know youngsters are under tremendous stress, and at national levels there are platforms where counselors are being announced and they can talk to them. Just to even NCRT has taken up this initiative of giving out the list of counselors in different regions wherein children, parents, and teachers can reach them. I think yes, this is a very important point which all of us have to think very deep. See, online class or technology is a substitute.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
can't be the option, especially for youngsters. Maybe this platform is good enough for us to conduct this webinar, but for school children, the social space of classroom where they have interaction, physical level of interaction is very essential. See, learning through gadgets may happen, they may learn, but it will develop a individualism. I am learning, my learning is enhanced, I am developing without being able to contribute to the others learning. Until we do this contributing, and we need a collective consciousness, and we are social beings. Why we want to develop, why we want to learn, it is ultimately to my society and to my community. Here this is a major detriment in bringing this collective consciousness and developing social values. And we know, especially in India, nowadays parents are responsible for the learning. We send the material to them and all that, especially school children. Maybe adult learners, they can better manage these situations, but in schools, what kind of guidelines we should give to parents is very uh, crucial point we need to think of. Every school has to think of it. Can see, we are a country where we are providing midday meal to children to encourage them to classroom. And now with this situation, we may know some parents may be working from home, online, always on work, though they are at home. Are they able to give time to their children? There may be parents who do not have gadgets. There may be one or two in the home and they are using it. Well, how do we make time for everybody to use these things? There are many factors, and another thing is the mental health of parents also today we need to think of, because many are losing jobs, many are going through financial crisis, health crisis. So how parents can really give time? This is, the division is becoming worse. There may be some children who have all benefits, all facilities, are able to learn. Even that is dangerous learning where individualism is promoted.
Yes.
So let us just hope and pray that this situation will ease and we all have our beautiful space, school back, and we all work in schools with collective consciousness.
Okay. And ma'am, like the last is like your views, your guidance, your suggestion, that how, like suggestion especially to the students, that how actually we should take this coronavirus, this COVID-19, this lockdown, this crisis word as a best of our time or as a boon for us, to us today's time, and how we can actually connect to the deprived students who are poor and they don't have these online classes. So how to tackle them and how to teach them,
No,
how to get connected with them?
this is a challenge.
Yes.
This is a challenge for us, but definitely corona virus as a pandemic, it has attacked us. And though some are saying there are benefits, that environment is improving and people are learning something new and all that. I agree to all that, but still, corona, it's when a virus attacks a body, it is not just the virus is not just attacking the body, it is not at the physical level. A health of an individual affects the family, affects the society, it affects the social. You see the stigma which is there for corona today. How do we how do we work towards it? How do we come out of the stigma? In spite of having enough knowledge about the spread of this, there is so much of stigma associated.
Yes.
Children are being developed in this kind of a social stigma and economic crisis. So disease or virus or pandemic is not, that is why it is a crisis. It is not to the individual. Maybe the death rate, if you see India, there are deaths in through other things also. But this is creating a turmoil at the social and the economic, even the political, socio-political, economic level. This is creating disturbance. So we need to be highly competent. We have to be contributing to it actually. That is where the resilience comes. When there is lockdown is announced, uh, we all are talking about why this lockdown, why are we, instead we have to learn as a responsible citizen in a democratic country to cooperate with the situation and raise to the occasion. We cannot go out, we cannot go and we cannot order KFC or Domino's or anything, but that is what we need to understand. That is the citizen of the country who can understand the situation, and that is what is the resilience. It's okay, this time also will pass, let me cooperate now. That is what is resilience. I have time, we need to come back.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. And it's been really nice. So, ma'am, any last thought? Anything you would like to add? Okay. That's end of the session, and I think I have taken all the queries, all the question answers which I got in a Q&A box, and I think I would like to end with a lot of gratitude this session. Like, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this wonderful talk. And it is so much needed at this need of the hour where we are, even the teachers and even the students, we both are facing this issue for the first time in our life, and we have no idea how to go about it. So this presentation really gave us a lot of insight, and definitely will improve and will bring our better version. And this will definitely help us to to change in our teaching learning process, definitely, and definitely will take out the lot of learning outcomes in our students. And definitely to the students who are there in our as a participant, they will definitely understand that just giving the excuses that we have so much challenges in our list and we cannot study. I hope they will understand that just overcoming these obstacles, you will get success. This is the right thing. And on behalf of KR Manglam University, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for accepting our request to be the speaker for this webinar. And I'm so grateful to you for your presence and making it a success. And I'm sure that the participants have benefited, especially to our students, and must have understood the importance of being resilient in trying times. So this is the time where we need to be resilient. Your talk will guide them on maintaining harmony in their lives during difficult and stressful periods. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Aditya Malik, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Anita Sharma, and all the faculties of KR Manglam University for their support in conducting this webinar. I also thank all the participants for joining us and making it a grand success. We will be looking forward for your presence in our future webinars as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, ma'am, once again. We'll definitely look forward to see your another webinar.
Best, all the
Thank you
best
so
to
much.
all the teachers and teacher educators.
Okay. I think I should connect the meeting.